Todd Chrisley's wife Julie was feeling emotional on Instagram this weekend. Why? Well, she was in a position where she felt as though she was kissing her baby boy goodbye. Grayson Chrisley, her baby boy, he was no longer a baby. Before her stood a young man. A young man with his beautiful date as they prepared to leave for homecoming. As we previously reported, the entire family celebrated Grayson's huge milestone on Instagram. But it seemed to be an extra emotional moment for Mama Julie. Julie Chrisley shared a photo of Grayson Chrisley as he slowly put a corsage on the wrist of his homecoming date. Both Grayson and his homecoming date had huge smiles on their faces. It, however, appeared as if they were looking at two different cameras. So Chrisley Knows best fans can assume the family has a few different cameras snapping photos of the couple. Fans know that Chase and Savannah also had their phones out as Chase uploaded a video clip of himself zooming in on Grayson and his date to his Instagram stories. Noticeably, Julie Chrisley seemed to be the only member of the family that shared photos on Instagram but did not appear in any of the photos. Todd, Savannah, and Chase were all present in at least one of the photos. Khloe Chrisley was also not visible in any of the photos. Though, Todd has previously said he was done answering questions regarding Khloe. So, it is possible he actively chooses not to have her in all of the pictures and video clips. Now, Julie Chrisley was feeling emotional in the caption of her Instagram post. Here's what the emotional mama had to say about her growing boy. Referring to Grayson as her baby, she admits she can't believe how fast the time has gone. In the comments, Chrisley Knows best fans seemed to understand what Julie Chrisley was feeling. Many seemed shocked at how old Grayson was looking in these photos. One individual squealed in a comment liked nearly 100 times. Look at Gray. Wow, where has the time gone? He's just absolutely handsome and his date is beautiful. Seems like yesterday he was in your backseat wanting to go to Hooters lol, another chimed in. Do you understand why Julie Chrisley got so emotional about this big day for Grayson Chrisley? Are you surprised to see he is on his way to homecoming with his beautiful date? Share your thoughts with us in the comments down below, and keep coming back for the latest on the Chrisley family. The morning light filtered in like a secret through the blinds, slanting across the wooden floors of the nursery. Dust motes danced in the hush, suspended in the fragile stillness that only moments of goodbye ever know. Julie Chrisley stood in the doorway, her frame motionless, as though she feared a single breath might shatter the peace of the room. Her hand gripped the doorframe, not tightly, but with the gentleness of someone bracing herself not against pain, but the inevitability of it. She had been here before, in this room, in this quiet, in this swell of heartache that sat deeper than grief, closer to reverence. The crib was painted soft white, the same shade she had chosen years ago after reading somewhere that color calmed the mind. Toys sat carefully arranged along the shelves, untouched for days, their bright plastic sheen a contrast to the dimness that curled in the corners of the room. The air smelled faintly of lavender and baby powder and something else, something that was hers and his and no one else's. He was sleeping, her baby boy, his face tilted toward the window, as though he knew the sun would soon rise to kiss him one last time before she did. His eyelashes fluttered once, then again, that was all. Julie moved forward, her steps soundless. Her slippers barely whispered against the floor as she approached the crib. Her hands trembled, not from cold, but from holding back too much warmth. A kind of love so consuming it could swallow the sun. And still, it wouldn't be enough. She reached down, not to lift him, not to wake him, but just to rest her fingers lightly on the soft fuzz of his hair. So much like his father's when they first met. So much like hers when she was a little girl and believed in things like forever. He shifted in his sleep, a small sigh escaping his lips. She watched the rise and fall of his chest, memorizing it. The rhythm, the breath. The proof of life. Were no words for what she felt, none that mattered, none that could be spoken aloud without breaking her in half. Downstairs, the world continued, Coffee brewed, voices murmured, a car idled quietly in the drive. But in here, time had stopped. The ticking of the clock had fallen silent. The future waited outside the door like an impatient stranger. She had spent the night awake, watching him. Every stretch, every sound. She had committed it all to memory like a prayer. It was a goodbye cloaked in the slow ritual of motherhood. Folding his favorite blanket. Slipping a photo of them together into the side of the diaper bag. A photo from a day when everything was still whole. Julie bent down. Her lips brushed the crown of his head. Soft, still warm, still hers. She didn't cry, not yet. The tears had come and gone in waves over the past week. Private moments stolen in the laundry room, behind the pantry door, in the stillness of midnight when even the walls couldn't witness. But now her face was composed. A gentle grace had taken root, because this wasn't about her. This was about the boy she had loved before he even had a name. The boy whose laugh had changed the pitch of her world. The boy who, despite everything, would always carry the sound of her heart beating in his chest. She slipped a hand through the crib's bars and touched his fingers. Tiny fingers, still curled around dreams. His skin was warm, impossibly soft. He didn't stir. That was a small mercy. In the hallway, a shadow moved. It was time. Julie straightened slowly, her hand drifting back to her side like a feather caught in a breeze. Her eyes swept across the room, lingering on the little things. The stuffed elephant by the chair, the mobile above the crib with its gently spinning stars, the nightlight that still glowed with the shape of a moon. The echoes of lullabies clung to the wall she had sung to him every night. Sometimes, even now, when she closed her eyes, she could feel the rhythm of those nights, the slow rock of the chair, his body curled into hers, the weight of forever pressed against her chest. But forever is a cruel promise, especially when it runs out early. There had been no choice. Not really, not the kind that mattered. Life had spun on a dime, and everything they once believed untouchable had cracked open beneath their feet. Choices had been made, the kind that cleaved hearts apart and left mothers staring into nurseries with the taste of goodbye in their mouths. A gentle knock echoed behind her. She didn't turn. Took one last breath. One final inhale of everything this room had ever meant. And then, slowly, she opened the crib and lifted him. His body molded into her like he always had, instinctively curling toward the warmth that had carried him through every storm. His head found her shoulder. His breath tickled her neck. She held him tighter than she was supposed to, but not as tight as she wanted. Her footsteps down the stairs were slow, deliberate. Each step a page turning in a chapter she hadn't been ready to finish. The door to the outside world was open. The light outside was blinding. He stirred in her arms, waking just a little. A small yawn, a stretch. Eyes like hers fluttered open, unfocused and unaware. She didn't speak. She didn't dare, because she knew if she tried, it would unravel everything she had tried so hard to hold together. There was a car parked in the driveway. A woman stood beside it, arms open, face kind. Familiar, but not family. Julie paused on the threshold, and then, slowly, she stepped forward. The woman stepped toward her and nodded gently. She understood. Maybe not fully, but enough. Enough to see the fracture beneath Julie's composure. Enough to know that what passed between them wasn't a handoff, it was a kind of surrender. Julie leaned down one last time and kissed her baby boy's cheek. He smiled in his half-sleep, the way babies do when they feel safe, and then she handed him over. Her arms felt like empty branches in winter. The woman cradled the baby gently, whispering something soothing. The door to the car opened. Julie stood there, watching, her hands now clasped tightly at her stomach, fingers digging into the memory of him. The car door closed. Her hand trembled slightly as she adjusted the collar of her baby boy's shirt, brushing an invisible wrinkle from the soft cotton. She paused, fingers resting on the fabric a moment too long, as though her touch alone could stop the clock, hold him here just a little longer. The child, no longer quite a baby, yet not quite a boy, stood with quiet composure, his small backpack hanging slightly off one shoulder. His face was still round with youth, his eyes wide, unsure. His lips parted as though he might speak, but he said nothing. Words like hers had abandoned him. Julie bent down slowly, her knees stiff, her soul heavier than it had ever been. Her hands cradled his cheeks. Her forehead touched his. And there it was, the moment when love, raw and immense, flooded the silence. No speech, just breath, heartbeat, the delicate, powerful gravity between a mother and her child. Tears welled in her eyes, not dramatic or theatrical, but deep and hot, spilling silently down her cheeks. She didn't wipe them away. She didn't need to pretend. Not today.